Get too many chips.
That's the challenge of going to those places.
I know.
This is the Grow
Here you go.
Business
Right.
Podcast
And it takes you 20 minutes to
with
get your
Cory
food.
Mosley.
So you got
No,
20
they get
minutes.
this food there and they're slanging that food quick.
Do they?
But yeah, but you got 3 people hungry. They're tearing those chips up.
That's right.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, you didn't go there planning to be hungry. You went there already hungry.
Chips. I'd say I think I have cracked the code on how restaurants can save a lot of money, because a lot of them bring you water even if you don't ask for it.
Right.
That to me is, the water bill.
Correct.
And a lot of them bring you lemons even if you don't ask for it.
Okay.
And they throw that out. So I think there's a lot of waste. I'm gonna crack the code in 2025 on I'm getting a restaurant. I'm gonna tackle restaurant waste. Just call me Cory Taffer.
There you go.
And now his name John Taffer. That's the bar rescue guy.
Oh, is that
right?
his name?
Yeah. That's the bar rescue guy.
Wow.
Oh, the music's over. That means it's time to start the show.
It's game on, right?
That is right. Game on. Well, don't change that dial, as they say. Guess we don't really come up on a dial. So if you're listening to this right now, I think you've made a conscious decision to do so.
Right, we appreciate
Maybe you stumbled upon us on YouTube, but if you're streaming us on your favorite podcast software system area, there's a term that another like a big company was using for, like, we're available, everywhere streaming. It was a good term. I got to remember what it is. I can pick it up.
Okay.
Since we just say, we stream on wherever you want to be.
Right.
We're there. And we're there is. That's right. Because Willie H has got his hand. He's ready. He's got his fingers on the button. He's ready for me to say it. I want to build the anticipation. Well, you're at the right location. This is the Grow Business Podcast. I'm your host, Cory Mosley, joined by the incomparable LG007 Lon Graham's in the building.
Voice of Reese.
And of course, the man who 2 minutes in is doing all right. Hitting those buttons, none other than Willie H is on the boards.
Hit the buttons, William.
That's right. He is here. LG.
It's good to see you.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
What's it?
The last show of 2024.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe it?
No.
When was the first show? Well, when was the 6th show?
Well,
when was the 6th show? We celebrated 50 episodes a little not too long ago, and
right.
Now this is it, 2024.
Gosh almighty. Isn't that amazing?
Wow. It is.
Wow.
What an interesting year. Is that a fair?
It has been a
Is
year.
that a fair statement? What an interesting yeah, Willie H. You gotta go through all of them. Man. You gotta hit all the close out 2024. Exactly. The next time these magical voices will be heard, it will be 2025.
That's
Yay.
pretty.
I don't know if that's a yay.
Well, it's exciting.
I'm going to tell you, I truly don't know. I look back sometimes and I don't know where the time went.
Well, absolutely. Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got to imagine you're trying to stop time.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe you want to slow time, right?
I just embrace the time that I have. That's
I'm
how I
at
do
the
it.
point where I like to slow time.
Okay.
Because you blink, when people tell you these young things, and my folks, my Gen Xers here or above,
Right.
will tell you, when you're being told how fast it goes and all these things.
Right.
Like I really think about my 30s,
Okay.
and I don't know what happened. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, I'm really going like, how did I get here?
Right.
I mean, do you ever?
Oh, I think
With
about,
your number?
Yeah, I think about. I do. I think about
Like,
and especially when, like, periods of time. There's different times in the year when things are representative anniversaries. Like
Sure,
when I
sure.
started at a job that I've had before, or when I
Right.
left a job that I've had before, or certain significant things in my life. And when I get to that anniversary, I think, it's like, man, it's been 4 years or 10 years
Right.
or 20 years.
right.
And you think about those things, and on a daily basis, it doesn't seem like you're doing a lot.
Mm.
But when you do things every day they add up, and then you turn around and look back and like, look how far
Right.
I've come.
I mean,
Well, how fast did that go?
Well, and with that's to me also as a point of reflection,
100%.
because there's things associated with like. So now, when I say your 30s, I can think of important factors like we had some really big contracts. It was there were certain years that were just really exceptionally revenue wise. There were things like that,
Right.
but like 2018. What do you got for me? Like.
Right.
I don't remember. I don't like even know.
Right.
Like when you think about that. So I just think it's interesting. And then like you go back and I was going through, we had some, you have a safe and your documents and everything
Correct.
like that. And I was going to put something back, like a social security card or something. And I was putting it back. But then in there, I've got little like just things that probably should be in a drawer somewhere else. I don't know why they're in my safe, but like I had a photo shoot from when I was like 20 in there. So I had the, when you had the old school pictures in your hand.
Right.
And I'm looking at this person and I'm like, and I'm holding it up to the mirror. And I'm like, oh my God, this looks nothing like me.
Like, how'd that happen?
I don't look anything like this right now. Forget the hair part.
Right.
Right. But like, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's something. So I guess, interesting. I didn't intend it this way. This is all extemporaneous, this conversation that we're having.
Most of the time.
But it feeds really into what we're going to talk about today, actually. So I had the opportunity last week to try. I was in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
So it was my last in-person speaking event of the year. And there were probably about 200 people at the event. But I was involved. I was speaking at a event that was your business had to be in a certain category level.
Okay.
So which is really revenue driven. So you need to be doing over what they call level 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
So the level 1 team, the level 1 attendees were all together on the second day.
Okay.
So the whole 200, but it was about 60 who fit. There was an invitation only type thing, and I had the opportunity to speak to them. And I thought, I think it was just simple and it makes a lot of sense that I'm just going to carry over the topic that I was talking about there and highlight it to the general audience of what, these 60 business owners got to kind of hear from me in person, because it's very timely right now as we talk about end of the year. Very quickly, everyone will be talking about resolutions. They'll be talking about things that are different, what the new plan is. People, there's always an influx in the small business administration of new business registration. Like, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to do this. So when I was talking to this group about, because many of these people were in business 15 years, 20 years. So really established business owners that were in the room. And, as you know, for people who listen to the podcast, we focus on the 5 pillars of business growth. I believe every business-related growth issue falls within one of those 5 pillars, of course. So mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people. And, we talked when Dawn was here with the guest episode, we talked about in-person networking, but I'm going to do another one on marketing pillar. We're going to end the year on a marketing pillar.
Okay.
And what I was talking to them about is the impact and importance of brand modernization.
Okay.
And I viewed that as the 2025 business growth secret weapon. So I want to share some of the things that I talked about, with that group and that audience, because I think it's very, very important as business owners, as we're setting. We've got a few, surprises and some things that are going to change in Q1 and some announcements about that. And I think it's very important that everybody's thinking about that.
Yeah.
So just as a business owner, just as you as an individual may be planning your goals or planning, this is going to be the year we drop the weight. This is going to be the year that, whatever, my hair comes back, whatever those plans are. Right. I'm working on it.
Right.
Apparently there's just some shampoo. I'm one shampoo away from a full head of chia pet hair.
Good for you, man. That's all you, buddy.
Well, I figured we'd go in. See if it works.
Well, I was having that conversation with the
bottle.
Well, with a female friend of mine who had long hair and recently cut it to shoulder length. And she goes, "Oh my goodness, I saved so much time and it's so much easier." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, Cory keeps talking, and and she's a mutual friend, Bernice.
Oh, okay.
And,
yes.
And she recently cut her hair, and it's great. And so I said to Bernice, yeah, Cory keeps talking about wanting to go to Turkey and getting this stuff done. I'm like, that's all you, buddy, because I got nothing for you. This is too easy.
If I told you we're going to do this shampoo and it's going to come back in, I'm still waiting. I've never seen hair. I've never seen lawn with hair.
Okay.
So I'm going to need you to dig into the crate somewhere. I know there's some.
Go into my safe and find one of those pictures.
Yeah. I want to see. I'm looking for LG 007 at 30.
Okay.
So I want to see what you got out there.
Okay.
So take a look at that. But,
sounds good.
So folks, of course, nothing makes a good holiday gift. There's still time. Position for growth makes an excellent holiday gift.
And you better believe it.
Yeah. LG 007 dropped a fresh 20 on a few weeks ago. Have you read the whole book?
I've gotten through the first third of it.
Okay.
And I've been traveling quite a bit, and I just haven't made time to read. So I'm traveling on the road a lot, so I'm going to sit down, and I got a weekend coming up where I can sit down and do. I've gotten started on it, and I know the 5 pillars.
I mean, LG should have had the book, when it came out originally.
Well, again, I was moving, and I didn't need one more thing to move. I was getting rid of things.
Look, you see that picture there? That's what I've got for you. See the eyeballs right there on there? Where's my YouTube people? See, that's a picture, a slide that I had up there. That's how I feel right now. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm giving him the eye work right now. If you can't see it, if you can't see it, I'm giving him the eye work. So
the side eye, crooked eye.
So I want to get into this because it's so important. I'm really, I was having this conversation with the team that, I really think it's something that I'm going to need to get more aggressive with going into 2025.
Okay.
Is really calling out all of these people, all of these business owners with bad brands, but that are phoning it in. They've pulled a Ron Popeil. Why are you laughing? They pulled a Ron Popeil, right? Exactly. So they pulled a set it and forget it.
Right.
I've talked about. I just think I'm going to be talking about this more in 2025.
Okay.
Because there's so many smart people that have great products and services that can really help people that never get off the gate, because they can't articulate it. Or they go to DIY. Stop it. I don't care what the Wix commercial says. There are reasons why there's reasons why brand building and the web development and graphic designing are professions. These are whole entire professions.
Correct.
So long if these are whole entire professions, right? Accounting is a whole entire profession.
Correct.
I know QuickBooks tries to convince you can be your own accountant.
Right.
And Wix and these DIY things convince you that for $15 a month, you can build your own website.
Yes.
Stop.
It doesn't say well. It just says you can do it.
You can do it.
It doesn't say you can do it well.
Yeah. But it's nerve-wracking to me.
Yes.
And my thesis was very simple. I presented this very simple thesis.
This is to the group that you were speaking with.
Correct. And now here. My thesis is, which is why that crazy picture was up, because it would make sense in a minute. I'm basically going through the PowerPoint. I'm going through the deck here. And I'm sharing the deck. Sharing the deck with the audience. But
before you go any further, if you're listening to this and you're not driving, go get a pen and piece of paper.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this is something that
100%.
As you look at how you plan for 25 and how you plan your business, and we're talking about branding and marketing. Go get a pen and piece of paper and take some notes on this one, because this one's going to be solid gold. Yeah,
and this is very important. Thank you for that. And this is when Lon earns his money, because I'm going full rant mode. So I need, so this is when you truly are the voice for it. I need you to, you gotta, LG's here to handle the technical, to remind you to go to CoryMosley.com and get position for Grow the Book, also available on Amazon, also to bring this circle back, because your boy's getting ready to leave the station right now, as I did down there. Willie H., did you get the footage yet? You haven't gotten the footage from that. Okay, we got to make sure, because we did record. We got to get the footage from that. We'll have them put it in there, but we'll have, maybe you'll seed it into the podcast somewhere. Who knows? We can get fancy in 2025.
Absolutely.
Once you break over 50 episodes, you got to get, because the average podcast doesn't ever make it past 10.
That's what you said. And
I was having this conversation with a VP of marketing we're trying to do business with. I had a side meeting while I was down there with a well-known global organization down there that's based in South Carolina, and we were having a Starbucks with VP of marketing, and he was talking about some of the initiatives that they had tried. That they tried the podcast, and
Right.
it's just like organizing and doing this and doing that. We're going to do a streaming show for them once we're waiting on board approval, but he's like, most people never get out of the gate. So
Right.
now it's okay. Well, we're over 50. We got to get fancier now. So that's why we're taking it to a few weeks off for the year
Right.
to let's figure that out. So maybe
Right.
maybe we get some pyrotechnics in here. Willie H, give me some fire, brother. Can you find us some? Find us a fire machine we use. All right, back to the thesis. Here we go.
Yep.
So it's like, can you get to it? I got to go inside. Somebody's parked right now wanting to get to it. So, but it was two theses. My thesis was this. Number one, people judge.
Okay.
Point blank.
100%.
I don't care who you are, what you say,
Right.
you love everybody, you we judge.
Correct.
We're looking at shoes.
Yes.
We're looking at nails.
Right.
We're looking at hair.
Mhm.
We're looking at how you're dressed, how your clothes fit.
Right.
We're looking at, we do all these things. We make
Correct.
assumptions out the wazoo,
Correct.
right?
And some of them we don't even recognize that we're making.
Correct. And that's unconscious bias and all
Right.
those other things
100%.
that people try to educate us on. But that's the fact. We all judge. We make all those decisions, right? You walk into a bank, they're looking at you, right? It doesn't matter. We're doing that.
Correct.
And, so I did an exercise while I was there. I sent everybody to CoryMosley.com while we were in the room.
Okay.
I said, open your phones, get your phones out, type my name in there. I said, not just a great way to spike my traffic and get my website on everybody's, phone. But I said, do me a favor. We scrolled the website. I said, we're just literally going to take 6 seconds. And I just want you to scroll down to my website
Right.
and get to the end. When you get to the end, just let me know. And my statement was very simple. I said, based on what you just saw in 6 seconds, do you think I might have something to say about branding and brand image that you may want to listen to for the next time that we have together?
This might be a guy I want to work with.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So Willie H is on. Look at
he
that.
nailed that one.
He's like, woo, I get some time off. He's like, woo, last episode of the year, woo.
Like crossing the finish line.
Yeah, right. So it's like he's gonna give it all. He's like, send it all. So, and then of course the majority. I mean, everybody in the room. I mean, it was a good crowd. It wasn't
Right.
anybody trying to, whatever. So everybody just said, yeah. I mean, simply, right, just for that 6 seconds.
Correct.
I can get more of your attention.
Correct.
Right? So people judge. And then the second one, part of the thesis is we all have competition. So unless you're in the rare air
Right.
where you are the only, and I said not by ego, not by, no one else can do what I do. Not by that,
Right.
but by profession or purchase, like what I can buy from services or products.
Right.
Unless you are the only person, you're from Wakanda and you produce vibranium and no one else can do it, right?
Right.
I can only source it from you, which
Correct.
is rare.
Correct.
Then we all have competition.
Yes.
And then I had the racing people. So I had
Oh,
that.
fun. Okay.
Yeah. But so that was the bottom line thesis. Like I'm very, from a content perspective or from a messaging standpoint, I call it black and white, right?
Right.
So if you disagree with what I just said, you can leave the room.
Right.
Right? If you don't think people judge,
Right.
because I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I said, to me, this is a public service announcement. Yes, I want to do business with every single person in this room.
Right.
Let's be clear on that, right?
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
But this is a public service announcement.
Right.
And I just deal in what makes sense, it doesn't make sense. I don't deal in debate or argument. It makes sense or it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So if you agree with me that people judge, and two, that we all have competition in
Right.
business, that there's somewhere else that they can get the product or service,
Right.
then everything I'm going to say to you from this point on should make a lot of sense and hopefully makes you want to take action, because there's a lot of interesting things here.
Yes.
So, Stanford University, a lot of people have taken a look at this, right? They've looked at this data, and there were 3 real impactful things that I pulled out from some of the data that I looked at. One was that 75% will judge your credibility based on your website.
I believe that.
So, can you tell me then why someone consciously has a disastrous website?
That's just dumb.
So are you asking me to answer that question?
Yes.
Or is that a rhetorical question?
No, I'm asking. No, yeah, I'm just like, I want you to explain it to me.
Because the answer is most people aren't aware, is the reality of it. Most people.
Do you think people really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not where they're spending their time, Corey. They're spending their time. Now, they don't realize, and you may be getting into this, they don't realize that that's keeping them from getting business because people will go to their website, it's all jacked up, and they lose credibility immediately. And so that person's going to go somewhere else. But they don't realize that the energy that they're expending to try and get new business is being hijacked by when people go to look at their website. They're like, right.
And so what's interesting, and this hadn't happened yet, so this is real time what I'm talking about.
Right.
So like what's interesting, what I love about these conversations is they're steeped in just everyday life. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
My windshield cracked.
Okay.
Have to have the windshield replaced.
Yes.
So I go online. Well, first I go to my insurance company.
Okay.
So thankfully I have glass replacement. So it does a zero deductible glass replacement.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm sure I've been paying into it for 10 years. So they've made $25,000. Right. They've paid me I paid in $25,000 to get them to do the $300 windshield.
Right.
So they're definitely winning, I'm sure. But in this instance, for me right now, it was great to know that I don't have, particularly in December, I don't have some big expense, right, that I wasn't expecting. So now my insurance company has a relationship with SafeLight.
Okay.
SafeLight's the administrator of their glass program. SafeLight is who they recommend. SafeLight is who they try to push you through.
Okay.
I Googled the local one.
Okay, because they're franchises.
Right. So I Googled the local one, and they have disastrous reviews. Bad review after bad review after bad review. So obviously nobody's even consciously trying to fix that.
Correct.
They're just relying on the fact that the insurance company is saying, I mean, like the logo's there, it's like you should go here. Right. But by Virginia law, where we live in Virginia, you can choose whoever you want.
Okay.
So I remembered, you know where I'm going with this. I remembered a local business that you actually brought to our attention.
Yes.
They didn't spend any money with us. I need to look that person up and remind.
It would be a good time to right, exactly.
But I did remind about. So I'm not even saying they didn't get name recognition on the podcast right now.
Well, if we smile, then we're going to
yeah. But I remembered that business and that person, and so I Googled them. Great reviews.
Oh, awesome.
Now website is so.
Right.
Website could have been better.
Yes.
But this was an example of where the reviews were more powerful than the website.
Correct.
Right? Because their credibility was already established through the reviews based on my situation, right? I still think they could do I think they could do even better because they don't even talk about that, right? Like I would be talking about why you want to choose them and not the other guy and check the reviews. I would make that a strategy. But you know, a lot of people are just good at what they do, not necessarily hiring the right marketing people to deliver that message. Right. I have to try to fix that. But
that's a goal for 2025.
Yeah, right. Goal for 2025. But my point was, so then I took the next step, which was making the phone call. Okay. And this delightful woman answered the phone.
Oh, fantastic.
And gave me delightful answers.
Okay.
And walked me through, literally told me where to go on the app to get them pulled up. And I had a delightful conversation. So now they're fixing my windshield.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But that was a credibility situation, right?
Right.
So my point being that, yes, some people will go with the okey doke. The majority of people may still just go with who the insurance company tells them to go with.
Right.
But anybody who pays any attention or looks up that local company will see the contrast.
Yes.
So you can still be a big name, a well-known name, and be leaking business because you're not paying attention to. So this isn't just for micro businesses or small. This applies to franchises. This applies to those business owners because we have franchisees who listen to the podcast. We actually have distribution directly to the Association of Franchisee Dealers. Right. So the American Association. So this isn't just for independence.
Correct.
This is how an independent could take you out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Okay. So you're going with not aware. Okay. Interesting.
Well,
I don't know.
Let's say this. We'll go back to the glass company that you use. Mm-hmm. they've done a good job of curating
Right.
reviews,
Yes.
which is
Well,
important.
Google. Right. Yeah. Getting.
Right, but
Yeah.
get
Sure.
it.
Sure.
They've done a good job
Yeah.
of requesting them and following up and doing that. So they've gotten validated by their past clients. They could do so. To your point, they trumped a national brand because they've demonstrated credibility through their performance. If they got a marketing situation
Right.
that was even better,
Yeah. Sure.
they could do outreach and they could drive business. And so my point in saying is this, is that at some point, you've only got, we've talked about this before, you have a finite amount of resources. Where are you spending your resources?
So I'm going to give you that.
Okay.
Now, riddle me this one.
Okay.
Because I hear this too.
Right.
Oh, Cory, I know my website's bad.
Well, that's just dumb.
You took Willie H's shot. Oh, yeah, Cory, I know my website is bad. Like, dude, that is your 24/7.
Right.
Not all of us are in bed at 9.
Right.
Somebody's up at 11:30 looking to have their catalytic converter replaced.
Correct.
Right? And looking for some place to do it.
Well, so that's a poor choice. Is if they say it's still a choice.
Is that willful ignorance, they call it?
No, it's not even ignorant because they know.
Willful negligence.
Willful negligence.
Yeah,
It's not prioritizing your branding and your marketing, which is what we're talking about for 25, is updating your branding and marketing.
Yeah.
So if you know it's bad, then either fix it or take it down.
Right. Yeah, just don't have it at all. Right. Yeah. I mean, and I've seen that. I'm baffled. I'm baffled by that.
Right.
People that don't, attorneys that don't have websites.
Right.
Like, I just, okay.
That bad.
Well, and again, I guess I need to come from a perspective of someone who wants more business. Well, like I'm in the business growth business. So I guess meeting people who are like, oh, I've got all the referrals I can handle. Right. Or I've got all the business I can handle. Right. Maybe? Means that? I don't know.
Well, I think that's a great point, Cory. You talk about the book Position for Growth.
Yes.
What we're talking about is, and I think that the people that are listening because we operate from the expectation that we want to grow and do more business year over year.
Yeah.
We want to have more opportunities. We want to grow our business, either grow our customer base or grow our offerings or both. And the
Not Grow Business Podcast 2025. If you want all the ways to not grow, we'll help you.
And to your point, though, is that we're operating from the expectation that people, because you're either growing or you're dying if you're a business.
Right.
And
do they?
Well, maybe not, but we know that you're either growing or dying as a business. So if you're not growing, you're dying because you're not replacing lost business. And you lose business through attrition, through choices, through bad websites, through bad reviews.
I'm getting ready to unsubscribe. There's a lot of crap I'm getting emails coming in as we're talking, and I'm like, this guy keeps emailing me to death. Like, how many emails can you put out? Good God Almighty!
But to your points, if somebody knows, they choose not to do something about it. Well, that's on them.
So
we're
the other
not
thing.
here to help them.
Okay, so we also found studies. I found data and studies that support the statement that a brand recognition can go up and be increased as high as 80%. With modern and cohesive branding.
Correct. Well, all right. So our business, the majority, our lane for this podcast are small business owners and leaders. But let's think about this for a minute. General Motors rebranded a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola rebranded a couple of years ago.
A lot of controversy about Jaguar right now.
Oh, why is that?
They dropped the leaping cat and they redid their font.
Oh.
Jaguar.
Yeah. Well, that's a choice that they made. I mean, they're updating it, whether it was a good
updating
update.
Their cars, they're updating their thing. So, I mean, there's and I'm going to get into the detail. We got to move.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to get into the details on it, but 80%. Yeah. And then the last thing that I share from a stat perspective, because I didn't want to overstat, but I wanted to make the point that the average online attention span is, do you know what it is?
The average attention span?
Online. The average online attention span is less than what?
15 seconds.
8 seconds.
8 seconds, yeah.
8 seconds.
I believe it.
So can you imagine hitting the web? Willie H is like, what?
Right.
Can you imagine hitting a website? You're shopping around for something that, God forbid, is a commodity, right? You're looking for a moving company. You're looking for collision repair. You're looking for something that I can get a lot of. I'm looking for a State Farm agent, right?
Windshield replacement.
Yeah, I can get a lot. Not as many as you think, right? But yes. So 8 seconds, and then I hit somebody's crapola website. Now, I was explaining to them that you can have a crappy website as long as your competitors have a crappy website, because that neutralizes.
Right.
But the moment somebody steps out, you can be in trouble, because I talked about the customer journey. Here I'm going to just abbreviate it in the interest of time, because we'll be here for a long time if I don't. But it was very simple, right? There's the need and search phase. There's the exposure phase,
right?
Meaning they're exposed to whatever's out there about you as they're going on their search journey,
right?
And then they're making an assessment,
right?
People judge, and you've got competition.
Correct.
Why would you cut corners?
And the reality of it is your competition is not just in your lane.
Right. True.
Your competition comes from other.
Well, I'm saying about where I'm going to spend advertising dollars, right? It's not just the radio station company. We had a guy from radio station there, one of the big major corporations, major radio stations. But it's not just him competing for dollars against other radio stations.
Correct.
You're competing against SEO companies, pay-per-click marketing, putting dollars in mailers,
correct,
putting up a billboard,
correct.
Right? So they're in that assessment phase, and then they all will purchase. Every buyer will purchase. I mean, I come from the auto industry, right? So they may not purchase from you, but somebody that needs to buy a car is buying a car, right? I mean, everybody will purchase at some point, but it may not be from you,
right? Well, and I'll throw, we're talking about stats. Let's talk about it from the user perspective. I'm reading a book, and it talks about, we talk about clarity over confusion or clarity over clever, right? When you're building these things, they've got to be immediately identifiable,
right?
Which means if you've got a bad website, that's why somebody's going to spend 5 seconds, certainly less than 8. But the brain.
What is this design? I've been contemplating. I'm sorry, I didn't want to complete your thought.
Well, the brain uses 20% of the body's oxygen. Which means the brain is busy.
Right.
It is trying to conserve energy.
Yeah.
So they're not going to take time to figure out what your website is about, which reinforces your point. If it's cruddy, people aren't going to spend any time on it. They're going to move on to the next one.
Like, one of the things that's kind of tormenting me a little bit, because it's not my natural personality, but I feel like I really want to start doing videos like breaking this down. But that involves me pulling up people's websites.
Right.
And I don't know that I want to call people out in that way. That's not really my controversial angle. But I need to get it through their heads.
Right.
And listen, I'm not certainly, as a company and organization, obviously we are involved in that space. So it's under what we call integrated marketing. So it's not just so I'm just not like some guy looking for your website business.
Right. No, it's a comprehensive plan to brand.
So my point is like I'm not just a guy beating the drum about why you should call me to do your website. It's like we won't do like a website.
Right.
So I mean, if we're looking at a total strategy, right? We're looking at a strategy that may include website. It's going to include your digital marketing. It's going to include your social media footprint. So it's a more integrated strategy that we talk about. So it's not like I'm just a freelance guy that's trying to hustle up some website business.
Right.
But I'm just like, because I think people need to understand, though, and I'm going to say, we'll save this for another episode. But the other thing that I'm seeing that's very interesting is over designing. Like the agency, the developers, they want to express themselves creatively.
Right.
So I'm going to people's sites that like have nice branding and whatever, but they're over-engineered.
Right.
They're not solving a problem for the customer. They're not built for conversion. But you could just see that whoever built it is probably so prideful of the way they built the scrolling button to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
Like no one, spoiler alert, nobody is clicking to slide through your testimonials.
No.
Click, 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 click. You have testimonials, get them on the page.
Right.
but no one's going through a slider because you're showing them 2 at a time, and you think people are going to do that. But like, ooh, what a great user interface.
Right.
So we'll have that for another meeting. All right, let me get into this.
Yeah, let's do it.
The risks. So let's talk about I broke down the risks of neglecting modernizing your brand.
Okay, and it's worth saying this. You said it mostly just a second ago. We use the website because that's the place that people go to the most. But
correct. Yes.
This branding is a comprehensive.
Correct.
How are you showing up in the marketplace?
Correct. Because we're talking about modernizing your brand.
Right.
Right. So I use the website as the example in that stat. But when I say the rest neglecting brand modernization, this is your total footprint.
Like how you showing up, how people receive you, how they perceive you.
Exactly.
Okay.
From a brand, I'm not getting into who your tailor is.
No.
Right, but yes,
I'm talking about
Yes, yeah.
From
Where I find you, what comes up. Yes, correctly.
Right.
What's on your social media feed? What's the business card? I mean, we talked about the woman that's got a business card with the wrong website on it. I didn't. Did we not talk about this?
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, it's got the wrong website. There's supposed to be a hyphen in her URL.
Oh my goodness.
Or she's got a hyphen on the card and the URL. It's one of those I can't remember. Because I'm so stunned.
Right.
But here's the kicker: she knows. That bad. That's just dumb.
That's just dumb.
So all I can do is just articulate. I have to say it to protect the. Like, I'd love to say, hey, blah, 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 fix your website. Right. I don't know. I'm not in the shock jockery. But I'm baffled. But I can't possibly conceive how you would continue to, A, how you didn't check that.
Right.
B, how you would continue to hand out those cards to people with the wrong website address on it.
So I'm going to give you a parallel example.
I haven't even done the 3 yet. Go ahead.
All right, and then we'll go. But here's the perspective on it, right? The reality of it is everything that you're saying is right. Is if you in business and you're going to invest in resources to demonstrate your brand, though that should represent you, and it should be accurate, and it should be up to date, and it should be with the idea that you are going to acquire new business. You're going to grow, and you're going to be able to demonstrate your capacity. The reality of it, though, is that's because that's the lens that you think through. Just like a personal trainer who's a super fitness person doesn't understand why the person that they're training will eat a donut for breakfast.
Right.
Because the personal trainer would never do that because they know what it does to your body.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and
I'm not being critical.
But there's other things in play there.
Well, yeah, but I'm not being critical. What I'm saying, though, is that you have such a tremendous passion for this. Well, maybe, but the person that isn't going to do something, that knows it and isn't going to do something about it, isn't a potential client for you anyway.
No, not at all. But I would love for them just to do something. I don't know. Right. All right, here are the risks. 3.
Let's go.
Lost relevance.
100%.
Eroded trust.
Absolutely.
Missed opportunities.
Yes. And missed opportunities is because of diverted opportunities. Like people that see it are getting inclined to move away from it. Right. Like if I
see a bad brand, I think you got a dirty house.
Right. Well, in order for somebody to know that you got a bad website, they got to go to it, which means they were motivated to do it.
Right.
In order for somebody to know that you got a bad brand, they got to be drawn to it.
Right.
And when they get there and it's bad, that means you just push them away.
Right.
That's the missed opportunity, because if they know that your brand is bad, that means that they went to it.
So identifying the need for brand optimization.
Correct.
Brand modernization. I said optimization, modernization.
Okay. All right.
Does your website look dated compared to your competitors?
Okay.
Is your social media content professional and engaging?
Okay.
Professional and engaging.
Right.
3, are you leveraging video to connect with your audience? And, when you're early to the game,
right,
your audience is predictable. By a show of hands, how many of you have video content? How many of you have current video content on your website? Right. I know what's going to happen there. Right. And media company, leave your hand down, right? Because that's what your job is to put.
Right.
Of all these, the level 2, 3, 4 businesses, which are millions and 7, 8 figure revenue buckets that they have to be in verifiable. So nobody faking the funk makes it in that room.
Correct.
because your financials are certified. It's not hand raising.
Right.
The organization certifies your financials. You've got to share them every year.
Right.
So why? So it becomes predictable. I know what the room is going to be.
Right.
Now, the next question then is, how many of you consume video content online?
Right.
In the form of interviews or short videos or whatever.
Right.
Everybody hand goes up. One lady, it's like, I don't use the internet. Like, okay. I mean, nothing's 100%, I suppose, right? Right. So I go back to, I'm black and white.
Right.
Literally, maybe I think my ancestry says I'm 36% Scottish.
Okay.
But literally black and white. But you just told me almost 100% of you in this room consume video content on a regular basis, and then you told me almost 100% of you in this room don't have any video on your website.
Right.
I'm in bizarro land right now.
What you're saying in that situation is other people's content is more important than your own. If you're a business owner and you're saying you're watching somebody else's content, but you're not updating your own,
that's going to be my follow through on that. You just gave me. I'm going to add that line right there.
You're welcome.
So what you're all saying. So based on what you just said, see, this is how I frame it right now. Based on what you just said to me in this room,
right?
You guys care more about other people's content than you care about your own.
Boom.
Woo. Look at the church say amen. And give him the voice of reason. Drop that on him too. Where is that?
Of reason.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, good. I mean, so and it is. We've talked about the copyright joke, right? Oh, it's 2018 copyright on your website. Right. I look at stuff like that, but I'm not doing it just from my background. If I'm on a business site that I'm considering, like, I'm a consumer, just like the audience that we're talking about.
Right. And
I'm judging.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all judge.
Well, and the people that are in that room, wow, they're probably older for the most part, because if they've got established business, they've been in business 20,
yes,
15, 15,
I don't think there was not a millennial or a Gen Zer in that building.
But I say that to say that those are the people that grew up with, well, you get judged when you walk into a room. And I had a salesperson when I was working in surgical sales, and we were going to meet with an administrator. And this story is to reinforce the judgment. We were going to meet with an administrator about potentially talking about a contract to do business with this hospital.
Right.
And the salesperson was the connector, the conduit to getting this meeting. And so he was the one that set it up. And so he and I were going in to start these conversations. And he looked nice enough, but he had on khakis and a golf shirt.
Right.
And we were talking about a contract that could be, millions of dollars ultimately if we got enough business out of it.
Right.
And I said to him, look, I'm not being critical because you look nice enough, but does what you're wearing represent the value that you place on this meeting? Right. And so I say that to say, you walk in with jacked up shoes.
Right. You're too cool for school.
Right. You walk in with a shirt that you pull out of the bottom of the laundry basket.
As the seller.
As the buyer,
you want to be, listen, Mark Zuckerberg could wear a dingy Hanes T-shirt,
right?
And still, but we're not. Most of us are not Mark Zuckerberg.
But he's the one we're trying to get to buy.
Correct.
He's not the one selling.
Correct.
So my point is yes, we all judge, and whether we judge on a website or we judge on a person walking through the door, and first impressions are hard to overcome.
My realtor pulls up in a '92 Cressida with 3:20 on the clock.
Right.
Unless they could pull out their book of business and show me how they sold 40 houses last year.
Right.
I'm going to make some judgments.
Of course you are.
Now, what makes us so it's a tricky needle to thread, though.
Right.
Right, because if they pull up on a 2025 Range Rover,
right,
they could be over their head,
right,
trying to just play the game,
right.
So it's a tricky thing, but as I said to that group, before I even know how good or bad you are or what you can do for me, I gotta want to know more.
Correct.
And if you've got a tired, worn out brand,
right,
you're adjusting my perception.
Right.
Into the ground.
So I don't. It's because I've got that perception. And I don't know. Okay. What are the benefits?
Perfect.
Infers positive market positioning.
Okay.
A modern brand makes it look like you are at the front of the learning curve,
Right.
that you know what's going on, that going with you for whatever it is
Right.
going to be a positive forward momentum piece.
Correct.
For me, right? Whether that's safe and positive momentum, I mean, that could be getting the root canal, right? I want to get out of the pain.
Right.
So, but I don't want, Dr. Kevorkian doing doing my deal, right? So, infers positive market positioning. 2, builds buyer confidence.
Yes.
Right? Winners want to be around other winners. People want to go with people they think are winners.
Right. And
They look at, how'd that horse trot in the, he looked good. He got had good gait. He got a good, right? No one's like, what did Larry the Cable Guy horse, he looked like crap. I think I'm going to put the 3-part parlay on that. You know what I'm saying? So buyer confidence, let me get to the last 2 and I want your comments. Right. 3, enhances perceived credibility.
100%.
That word perceived is there intentionally. Right. I don't care yet. Right. You can't be great yet if I don't think you might be great yet.
Right.
And the last one is create separation and a competitive advantage.
Yes.
If I could choose any, right?
Right.
So I had to state inspection on my car.
Okay.
State regulate. I didn't realize this. I called a couple of places and said, what do you charge? What's your availability and what do you charge? And they're like, the state regulates. So at that point, I understand no one's getting rich off that $20, but the goal is, of course, you bring me on in 20 and then tell me my tires need replacing or I need an alignment or I need whatever. So it's an upsell. But I still, so I could choose anywhere to go still.
Right. And you create a good experience getting my car inspected, which is painful. I'm coming back to you.
The next time I need, when I need something. Inevitably, I will need something.
100%.
So even in that realm, I still need to create separation.
Correct.
Because if I can be taking up, if I can be doing 80% of the state inspections in my market area, that's going to give me upsell opportunities.
Right. So here's, you said a lot of things. So I'm going to try and bring a couple of them together. When I talk about selling and leadership, so we're talking about the comprehensive brand experience. We're using the website because that's the most identifiable reference, but we're talking about, the Mosley Strategy Group creates this comprehensive brand experience, which is consistent across all platforms. Now, consistency then drives credibility, which means if you're consistent, you show up the same way all the time, people can believe in you. And when they start to be able to believe in you, they will develop confidence in you. So consistency drives credibility and credibility drives confidence. And confidence, people buy confidence. They buy from you because they believe you can do what you say you do, right, and that you can do it well. And that's how you demonstrate that you can do it well. We live in an online marketplace. People have looked you up. I don't know what the number is, but 75% of people do research before they even contact somebody.
Right, sure.
It's a high number, whatever, and that's a number I made up, but it's a high number. So if they get to you, that means that you've done something right in their research process. You don't know who's not getting to you because they're looking you up before they ever even decide who they're going to call first.
Right. Maybe this guy can help me. That's right. Listen. This is why and I understand people are overwhelmed. I mean, I get it. I live it every day. Right. But I want, when I'm asleep at night, I want to know and have confidence that if somebody's searching me,
right,
that that they're seeing the right things or they're having the right experience from a perception end. That I could wake up and possibly have a lead.
Yes.
Or wake up and there'd be a voicemail.
Yes.
And that happens because of things that they've saw or heard right in the marketplace. So I've got control over that in terms of modernizing the brand.
Correct.
So what should a modern brand look like? Fresh, clean, intuitive, visually appealing. Leverage video.
Yes. We're
in the thought leadership business.
We are.
Right? So how can I not talk about that? But I'm not talking about it because I'm not, I'm not the guy that loves chicken because I own a KFC. right? I gotta love chicken. I mean, like you would expect a guy that owns a KFC, he wouldn't be suggesting that you go get a lot of hamburgers, right?
Right.
He's got to drink his own Kool-Aid, as they say.
Correct.
But the statistics support
Right.
thought leadership and the impact of it.
Correct.
Where is the thought leadership content?
Right.
Where are you demonstrating and showing that you can help me?
Right.
Where is that media? And then the last thing in there is having unified messaging across all platforms.
Yes. And I'm going to go back to the thought leadership for just a minute, because thought leadership has always been important. It becomes even more important because people are looking to it for decision making. They're looking to it for who do I go to? And the reality of it is this, is when you put yourself out there in video and you talk about what you know and what you do, you're attracting the people that are your ideal clients.
Right.
And one of the things that I also say is this, is you save yourself a lot of time and energy and headache, because when you put your thought leadership out there, if somebody can see your video and decide that you're not for them, you don't have to spend that hour talking to them that you would have if you had to pre-qualify them. So not only do you attract more people that are like you, you detract the people that you don't have to waste your time with anymore.
That's right. No, that's it. That's what we talked about. We went into a case study. So I'm not going to go through the case study on this here. And then we just turned to a case study, which really high level was based on the client that we were featuring, was based on this idea that they had been in business, for almost 40 years. Yeah. They had a great reputation in the area. They, had, contracts, government contracts, these things, but they had an aging brand. The brand wasn't standing out. They had fragmented, partnerships, and just in terms of where they were even getting information from. And they had inconsistent messaging. So we went through the process of really showing the before and after, frankly.
Yeah.
And asking common sense questions, right? So when we showed them the old brand and the new brand, show them hands. What is more interesting? Who are you more piqued interest engaged with? And then what we did, we showed them the 2 or 3 competitors of what their brand looked like.
Okay.
So now the question was, if you were searching and you looked at these 3 brands, who would you want to logically take the next step with?
Right.
This is right. It's not salesmanship. This is black and white information. So so we walked through that, and here's what I'm going to say. And then we're doing audits. We're doing complimentary audits, for that group. I'm going to put it out right here. I mean, not that I want to. I think I'm going to I'm going to suggest it because we've got we've got a good listenership now. So I can't do 1,000 audits. But here's what I would say. I'm going to put the number at 10.
Okay.
So I'm saying right now, if you're listening to this, if you reach out, send an email to hello@CoryMosley.com with the subject audit.
Okay.
10 businesses has to be in. You have to send the email before December 31st.
Okay.
So you've got plenty of time.
Right.
You've got to send it in before December 31st. You send it to hello@CoryMosley.com, and you're concerned about your brand. Because a lot of times they don't even know what's going on. When we do the audit, when we come back, now we're auditing, the brand. We're looking at your footprint. We're looking at your SEO. We're looking at where you're coming up search terms. We're looking at your competitors in there. So it's pretty comprehensive. It's something that we usually charge for.
Right.
Because it comes back and says all the issues. You don't actually have to hire us to fix the issues. You still get the information.
Correct.
So it's not like we're keeping it unless you hire us, right? So it's really going to go through that. It's going to be some competitive analysis. There's going to be some scoring and some things that you may not even be looking at, as a 360 of your brand perception in the marketplace also.
Correct.
So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make that offer, but we're capping it at 10. So first 10, hello@CoryMosley.com, put in the subject line audit. We will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got? Anything? What do you got? This is it. I mean, because that to me is just the most what you look like on the street, so to speak, is to me one of the most important things outside of what you're great. Oh, Cory, we're ramping up. We've got a great new service that's coming out in 2025. Great. If you're still bringing people to the dusty busty
Right.
brand.
Right.
All you've got is a new landing page on a bad website or bad content.
Right.
I got this long email solicitation this morning, post event a different event that I was at, that one of the speakers has got some kind of software product, and he sent an email out about it.
Nice.
That he clearly did not. He clearly typed himself.
Okay.
Because the verbiage,
Right.
you know.
Right. It's yeah.
We gonna get to 800. We gonna get to. Like, I was just reading, and I'm trying not to be judgy, because we all judge. But here's what I'm saying.
Right.
I read that email, and I questioned. This guy's got all types of credibility in his field, 30 years, this, that, and the other. But I read that email, this long email that most people didn't make it through, I'm sure. And I read it, and I listened to how it was mispronounced. Things were just whatever, and it lowered that guy's credibility in my mind. Right.
And this is somebody that you spent time with at an event.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was a speaker there, so I don't know him personally, but yes.
But you've seen his ability on stage, and you've seen his,
sure, yes.
So you already have a semi-positive perception of this person.
Yes, yeah, fair.
And that email lowered your perception of it.
Yes.
Because it wasn't consistent. And that's what we're talking about here. And I think for me, you asked me how I want to bring this all together.
Right.
I think you talk about if you're going to launch a new product in 2025, if you're going to launch a new delivery system in 2025, if you're going to launch a new service in 2025, if in your business you're going to do something new, two things. One, make sure it's in line with what you already have to offer.
Right.
And two, make sure that there's consistency along all product offerings as to how your business is perceived. And that's what we're talking about in branding. If you don't have consistency in your branding, before you start launching a new product, get the foundation right and get some consistency. And then when you launch that new product, it's going to be so much more effective.
Right.
And you're going to have so much more of an impact, and you get so many more opportunities for new business. Now, you got to be able to deliver on that opportunity, but you're going to get so many more opportunities, because in the world that we live in, going back to what you said in the very beginning, and the world that we live in, this goes back to the dawn of time.
We push it
hard. We judge.
Right.
And we judge consciously, and we judge subconsciously.
That's right.
And, Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Blank, talking about the first 15 seconds, you make a decision about somebody within 15 seconds. Right. And that's the decision that sticks. So if I'm looking at your website, if I'm looking at your brand, and if you don't think it matters, Coca-Cola rebranded, General Motors rebranded, you talk about Jaguar rebranded. So these companies that have been around for a long time, they don't want to end up like Kodak.
Oh, I'm really good at what I do. So if someone doesn't see the value in what I do, then they're probably not a good client for me.
Yeah, consistency. Again, I go back to consistency. How do you show up? And do you show up the same way every time? Because when you show up consistently,
that's borderline arrogance.
Well,
in a certain way, right? I mean, just
right. I mean, the reality of it is
take me as I am.
Well, here's the reality of it. If that's
a nope.
If that's
I will not take you as you are.
If that's your perspective,
because I'm judging you,
right? But if that's your perspective, then you're not. Then you don't want to get better, and you don't want more business.
Right.
That's the reality of it, and that's okay. You don't have to. But if you do want to get better and you do want more business, there's a couple of things you can do. I'll pitch for the book, Position for Growth.
Yeah.
If you don't have it already, you should get it, and be one of the first 10 people to get a brand audit, and you can at least identify what's wrong. Or what you can do better. You can at least identify what you can do better going into 2025 so that you can grow your business.
Right.
And then, beyond that, thanks for spending the past year with us. And if you're new this year, we appreciate that you've come new this year. We appreciate
we did an extra long one. We gave them a little extra in the octane.
We did.
That's the year in.
Yeah, that's the year in. We're excited about what we have all going on in the new year.
Yeah.
And so we're excited. Hopefully you're excited about what you got going on in the new year as well. And but no, thanks for coming.
Like
Thanks
you
for
did an
coming
appeal to the camera. I hope you're excited.
Well, for our YouTube and
Yes.
Spotify listeners,
Point at them.
that's right. Absolutely,
We love you.
We love
We
you.
love the listeners. Yes.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for coming back.
Yes, thanks. I like it. There you go. Well, I won't take it. I'll let you have that one. I'll let you have that one. Willie H., any parting word? Anything you want me to translate for people because they can't hear you, but you want me to translate it there? Huh? Anything you want to use the board to say? Nothing? All right. Jesus Christ.
He's like,
Well, listen, we're going to get out of here then.
sounds good.
This has been another edition of the Grow Business Podcast. The end of 2024.
Yeah.
We thank you for listening. We thank you for following. We thank you for coming back, sharing it with friends, the people who listen in their car, the people who are road warriors out there driving between appointments that could be, listening to the latest Sabrina Carpenter or Taylor Swift song. But you know what? Say, I want to use this windshield time. Isn't that they call it windshield time?
Yeah.
Use this windshield time to get educated. We love our listeners.
Yeah, Zig Ziglar called it Automobile University.
Yeah, Automobile University. For those of you there that could be listening, you could be listening to, somebody else's podcast
Right.
with a British accent or someone else. So we appreciate it. Continue to share, and we look forward to serving you in 2025. On behalf of myself, LG007, and Willie H., this has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast. I'm Cory Mosley, and we'll see you in 2025. Willie H., take us out.
Timely.
Yes. And there it went.
How was that presentation,
Yep.
that group? I mean, that's the ideal group really for that message, especially because a lot of them are in that tweener group. Like, we've had success. How do we get more of it? And consistency is something that we need to be able to demonstrate.
Right.
How'd it go, though? Did you feel good about it?
I did. I think it was a good group. Is for several people there, it wasn't their first time knowing who I was.
Right.
So that was good too.
Yeah.
And I think there's some good conversations, that will come out of it. I mean, you're going to do the normal follow-up thing. We've got
Right.
some hand raisers, some people that already wanted to take advantage of the audit. So
Good.
So all that's good. And then now you just got to, work the list because people are consuming so much information.
Right.
And I was early.
Okay.
So I was like 12:30.
Right.
So, and that day ran to like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So you're also, the comprehension. But what they're doing is they're going, yeah, that's me. I have that problem. And then you don't forget that.
Right.
When it comes to something like your brand.
Correct.
You don't forget that you had that problem versus I saw an app and I didn't save it. Now I'm mad because I can't remember what it was.
Right.
I'm hoping it comes back up in my feed.
Right. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the right state.